What's happening, guys? I hope we're doing good and alright. It's Theo here, and this is time for part 6. Part 6 in Learning to Read with Dyslexia by a Dyslexic. So, we covered a lot of ground here on talking about dyslexia, about the thinking process, and about what we go through in how we process and order information, and exactly pinpointing why is dyslexia hard. Anyway, so today is about, I don't want this intro to be a couple minutes long. Today is about, we're shifting gears here. It's about the psychology of learning. And the psychology part, because it's not all science-based practical. It's not all based on, you mean the facts, here's dyslexia and here's how it affects us. Because we also have this other world. We have the inner world of how we think about ourselves, of what we believe, of what our values are. And this dictates our emotion, this dictates what we focus on, and so much more. And we're going to dive into that and how that plays a role, and how that plays a massive key role in that, what I feel is massively understated in this dyslexic community. Anyway, hope you enjoyed today's episode, guys, and we use what we learned and enjoying this. I think it's 10 part to learn how to read with dyslexia by a dyslexic. Anyway, guys, for a limited time, for only a short period of time, you can schedule a call with me completely for free about how you can dramatically improve your reading ability. Also, for you or your little ones or anyone else, I remember severely dyslexic, been through dyslexic school from 8 years of my life, private dyslexic school, tried loads of things, tried all the different dyslexia programs, and I really found out what worked for me unlike anything else, and I truly find it literally unbelievable, but it's true. Anyway, about how I drastically improved my reading ability. Later in the episodes, we'll get onto this and why that works. But if you're interested in improving your reading, schedule a free call with me. Guys, the link will be in the description to do that. Anyway, guys, I hope we enjoy today's episode.
So the big question is this: how can dyslexics like us create a place, a community, a tribe, where people at any stage of life can come and solve any challenge, amplify their strengths, and ultimately help them become who they were meant to be, or in other words, conquer their dyslexia? That is the question, and this show is the answer. My name's Theo Goff, and welcome to the Conquering Dyslexia podcast.
So, part 6 is our psychology when it comes to reading. How our psychology, how our mind, how our inner world plays a massive role in this. Now, I first off want to talk about this because there's 3 main parts. I want to talk about this, but I want to start off talking about this from a big perspective, from an overview perspective. If you remember, I think in episode 5 and 4, we talked about the dyslexic thinking style. It's big picture. It's not small, minute learning about the names, because remember I talked about in part 2, the part of the brains. It means I don't care about the name of the brain, I just care about understanding its function and the location and understanding it overarching. So, what I want to talk today about psychology, but think about, I find this the most important part, because the whole thing about conquering dyslexia is it's all about realizing it's up to you to conquer it. It's all about realizing it's your psychology, it's your mindset, it's your willingness and desire to go after and find the answers, and to not have dyslexia stop you in any way. Is really the essence of what it means to conquer our dyslexia. And so looking from a standpoint that this isn't just another part to learn, this is the part to learn. This is the part to kind of spend most of your time, most of your effort. And because time here spent learning about the psychology isn't about learning about dyslexia, but it's learning about why you think the way you think, why you act the way you act, why you value things a certain way, why you have created so different associations. And with dyslexia, that does play a massive role. Because think about it. Think about how our minds, so if you understand, so one simple thing I can explain about our minds is that our minds are designed to make us survive, not designed to make us happy or thrive. And the reason is that each of us has a 2 million year old mind. So it's very, very old. And it's designed to look for danger, look for what's wrong, and then create lessons, create values around it, so then we don't get hurt, we don't put ourselves in danger as much. So this is good for anyone from a saber-toothed tiger, mammoths you have to feed. Like, learning what's good, what's bad, and not doing it is good back then. But here we don't have to fight for our food. Here we don't have to hunt. Here, there's like, if you have the privilege of watching this, hopefully our health is good, but most of our needs are already met the moment we're born. So what do we do with this 2 million-year-old brain that's designed to look for what's wrong? Well, the first thing we should do is train it. First thing we should do is understand it. But unfortunately, we don't. We don't train our brain. We don't try and understand it and really realize, oh, look, it's conditioned and wired to look for what's bad. And it is. Instead of what we do, we just go about our lives. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But where we can feel it holds us back is that when we go for a negative experience, like, for example, with dyslexia, someone laughs at us in class, or we do something bad, and we misspell something, we don't get something, we stutter, we look stupid. Then, when that happens, a bad feeling happens, like embarrassment, shyness, people not understanding us, and feeling different than everyone else. And when we have these moments of feeling a certain negative feeling because of some reason, we create a meaning. For example, I always give this example. I gave an example in my book. When say there's a kid, Callum. He was spelling the word elephant on the board. Like, teacher requested to spell the word elephant, and he called on Callum. Callum, come up and spell the name on the board. And as he's spelling elephant, he accidentally spelt the wrong word, and it kind of spelled something else. And other kids could laugh at, and the other kids were laughing. And the teacher didn't expect him to spell this maybe silly or naughty word by accident. The teacher was laughing, not laughing, but she wasn't holding back the kids. Probably thought it was cute or it was funny, but for Callum, it wasn't, and it was horrible. And then when he spelled the wrong word, he was so shy, so nervous that he accidentally, let's say he read on himself or something, like he peed his pants. Like, this is a young 4-year-old kid. And then he ran to the toilet, really upset, really crying. Teacher probably told the kids off. But in the moment when Callum's crying his eyes out, thinking how horrible this experience is, he looks in the mirror, and in that moment he creates a meaning. And the meaning could be, I'm not smart, I'm stupid. I can never put my hand up again. I can never act in a certain way. And then from that meaning we've created, that dictates the actions we take for the rest of our lives. Because we go through because there's 3 parts to this, and the first part, I want us to understand the power of our psychology. The power of our experiences we go through shape who we are, if we let them. The truth is, we can either let it make us become less, or we can actually decide to make these experiences to make us become more. You can either let us grow from these experiences, or let us, or become less, not wanting to feel the pain, not wanting it to happen again, so that we either don't do anything. Because I always give this other example of this other girl, Sarah. Callum and Sarah are very similar, both dyslexic. Same scenario. She writes the word elephant on the board, it gets wrong. People laugh at her. She runs to the bathroom, crying her eyes out. She looks in the mirror, and at that moment she decides a different meaning. And the different meaning is that I will never let this happen again. The different meaning of this is that I'll want to become so strong in myself. I can't let this happen again. Life is hard. And I know it's a 5-year-old girl, whatever, but she says simply, I cannot let this happen again. And so she hates the English class, same as Callum. But instead of saying oh, I can never trust anyone, I can never put my hand up, I'm stupid, I'm dumb, she says, okay, yes, I may be really bad at this, but find out something she's good at. And both of them, Callum and this girl, were both really good, let's say at DT, at creating designs. But because this girl has a different meaning of that bad situation, she puts all of her focus and energy into become the best, you mean like best at DT ever, and over the years becomes an architect and one of the most successful female architects in the world for that. And all the differences is the meaning. All the differences is deciding on something else. Because we've got to realize the power of our minds, guys. And the power of what trauma can do to us. Because ultimately it's trauma. Ultimately when something bad happens, I don't want to use trauma as in like, oh, trauma is only for something very, very bad. There's different levels. Obviously there's severe trauma. That's obviously, that's classed as really bad and can PTSD from and bad stuff, but there's all these different levels. Little trauma is a little traumatic event that can affect us. We can probably brush it by saying, oh, it doesn't matter. But then, especially when we're young, we have these bigger traumatic events, because at the time we think that it's life or death. At the time we think, oh, this is awful, I'll never get through this. Because a day when you're 5 years old, 6 years old, feels like an eternity. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, oh, that feels ages. You're only here for a few more hours. Oh, that feels ages. But when we get older, time is relative. If we get older, we experience more time, and you mean an hour doesn't seem as long. So we got to realize that the traumatic, we have traumatic events of people laughing at us or doing something silly with our dyslexia. We wouldn't know we have dyslexia at the time, but we would equate a meaning. Because human beings, we are meaning-making machines. If I didn't call myself dyslexic, I would call myself a different meaning for why I can't do the things I can't do. Like stupid, strange, different, have a different label. And with a different label, with a different meaning, becomes different actions I would take. So understanding from this, I really don't want to confuse. I know we're talking about different kind of stuff, but this is so important. So first, our mind is so powerful, our psychology. If simply put it, if you believe you can't do something, you can't. If you believe you can, you will. If you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't. Simple as that. It's like getting a test. I remember I was there's this test that I was in sixth form doing it for personal training. And there's big theory test. Like that was like I had to get 47 out of 50 right, and that was high. You know what I mean? Otherwise I'd fail. And I want to be personal trainers for my level 2. Personal training, it's like gym instructing, and I was studying so hard for it because I knew it's one thing I wanted. So I got to study it every break when I went home, all the time studying. And you mean that I'm very dyslexic, find it hard to read, find it hard to do these things, but I just kept on going at it. And like me and the other people in my class had the same time with the same classes, the same teacher. But it was only me. There was a class of, let's say, I think it was 10. Me and only 2 other people, and these other 2 other people were kind of very academically smart and very focused. Me and only 2 other people passed that test first time. We passed the test first time, and this is a written test, as in like it wasn't multiple choice. Most of them were multiple choice, but you had to read it and then answer it. And how can I, someone who you've been very bad at remembering things, very bad at doing that, could become like the top 80, the top 90%, like around 80% of the class? How is that possible? What's possible is belief. Because let me tell you something, look, the one thing that I realised is that I believed I could pass. I was like, yeah, I'm going to work so hard, I'm going to pass it. I had that focus. And the same thing but the other people who didn't pass it, they didn't have the focus, they didn't believe it. Same thing with English. I remember the second year, they pushed me to do GCSE English, whole story about it. But at the end of the day, I believed that I could do it. I believed to give it everything I got and see what would happen. And I believed I could do it. And I took it once. I studied crazy, but I took it once and passed it. These other people were actually quite smart, good at remembering, good at understanding, like because in my second year they made me try it, but they've been trying it since the first year of sixth form. They tried it 3-4 times to pass it. They failed each time. They left there not passing it. And I passed it first time. This GCSE English, something that no one in the history of my education said I could pass. To be honest with you, when I was in my dyslexic school, I passed it. Why? Because I believed I could. Because think about it. If you believe you can do something, your brain focuses differently. Your brain memorizes differently. It's like if you're doing a trick on a skateboard and you fail on it again and again and again. I don't know anything about skateboards, but like a flip on it. You fail it again and again and again and again. But if you know, okay, I can do this, I need to keep trying, and eventually I'll learn that trick. Versus someone who says, I'll never be able to do it, it's a waste of time. But yet, let's say you both tried 10 times to do a trick. Who would learn more for the 10 times? The person who says, oh, I'll never be able to learn it, there's no point, this is useless. Or the person who says, I can learn it, it's just a matter of time. Obviously, it's the person that says it's a matter of time. So it's our beliefs are so valuable, and our experiences we go through affect them. If we go for experiences, and this is the most important thing, create meaning. This is the meaning that I want to get to. It creates the meaning of the experience. Saying, I can never do this. I'm dumb. I'm stupid. Meaning is this lesson is useless. I'll never be able to do this. Then our voice in our mind would go, oh, there's no point in me doing this. I'll never learn something. But if our voice in our mind goes, no, I can learn it. I can do it. Then we'd automatically learn more from the lessons. Something I said is something I've learned, and you say it all the time, especially in my book. It's not what you have that counts. It's what you do with what you have that counts. But also something else that I say is that it's not how you learn that's important. Most important. What's most important is why you are learning. The why you're learning is the power, is the fuel. So guys, there's 3 things. Our psychology is so important. Our mindset, the way we think, our values, so important. And the first thing. Second thing is that the reason why it's important is because in all the experiences we've created trauma. We've created trauma from bad and negative experiences we had over our dyslexia. And then because of those negative experiences, we create meaning about ourselves, meaning about our abilities. And then finally, what I want to say is that we got to change the meaning. I know I'm brushing over this, but we got to change the meaning from it. So one little thing we can do at the end of this little thing is to look at some negative experiences we had. Look back in the past about some. I remember one, meaning like I said this before. I got kicked out of class because I was looking for a book, and it turned out to be that book of some other kid that didn't like me, to complain to the teacher, and the teacher probably had enough that day. Kicked me out of the class. I remember sitting outside the class, being so upset, not knowing why they kicked me out of class for looking at a book. I was kicking all the lunch boxes around, I was crying. I sat down in a slump, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't know how people work. I don't know how they work. I remember thinking, I'm not enough at all. That was one thing I remember saying to myself then, saying, I don't understand how other people work, and I'm not enough. And thinking that I'm not enough over and over again has really affected my life, and it's so common for us dyslexics. But I remember realizing that there was that moment though, that was a big moment for me believing that, because I remember it clearly. And I worked on that over time through various exercises and blah, blah, blah. But I want us to realize that we have experiences that cause meaning. We're trying to change the meaning of it. So guys, how does this affect with reading? Simply put, massively. If you believe you can't learn to read, you won't. If you believe you can learn to read, you will. Alright guys, I hope we enjoyed today's episode, guys, and I hope you got some value from it. I look forward to going for part 7. Part 7 tomorrow, guys, is going to be an exciting one. Look forward to it. Take care. And as well, if you want to learn to read, or you want to help your little ones learn to read, click link down below in the description. 30-minute call with me completely for free for a limited time, guys. This offer won't be available forever. If you listen to this podcast, in a couple months in the future, the time slots will be gone. Okay, guys, so get it when you can. See you later, guys. Take care and bye.